Okay, guys, welcome back to the podcast on the Beast of Redwall, the much delayed podcast. For those of you that have actually kept up with us the entire time, uh, I actually just graduated college and moved into my new place and everything, so I've been super busy with life, but we finally found some time to do this, and things are starting to settle down for me. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but we are joined by our lovely cast. Unfortunately, some people couldn't make it, and one person is on their way, so we are joined by Zammy as the late Helena, Ivan as Cirrus, Jake as Uhtred, Vince as Wesley, and then Anakin will be coming to play or to talk about his experience as Kilroy, the Fool. And so, how have you guys been?
Busy.
Busy?
Well, I started a new job, so.
Yeah. Nobody else done anything important in life?
Well,
Just
me
working
and
mostly.
you and Vince all graduated, so.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll get into it
Getting
then.
back into martial arts stuff.
Oh, you
so.
are? What do you do,
Yeah.
Ivan?
Let's see, Shaolin Kempo.
Shaolin Kempo. I do. Is that
if you
the
said
stuff with the
Capoeira,
blades
I
and
was gonna
stuff?
die.
No, it's like sort of I guess
Kempo's like the
fighting
really light
more
punches,
focused,
right?
Sort of on your feet type of stuff,
Interesting. Very cool.
mid range.
I've actually been taking Western boxing classes for I did my first one yesterday, and so that was actually kind of fun. So actually that's funny. We're both getting into our martial arts again. I'm gonna get back into my jiu-jitsu, but we're gonna get into actually why people are actually here, which is the podcast. Oh no, our music ran out. Hold on, let me get the music going again. Failure. 1 second. That good Dark Souls music. Okay. Well, so I'm gonna turn this music down, and I prepared some questions for you guys, and I'm sure this will just snowball into us talking about the story. So I just thought of a question off the top of my head right now. So would somebody like to sum up the entire story, the Beast of Redwall? Would someone like to attempt? And people can jump in, but I'm just curious.
Well,
It's hard, right?
There's quite a bit. We should
I
probably
know.
break
It
it
was
up
quite
into
a
like a
bit,
few
yeah.
parts, like
I thought it was
beginning,
great.
middle, end.
We'll get to it once we refresh our memory a bit. So I'll start with these easier questions, but that question is coming because I think I can do it, but that's because I was the narrator. So my first question to the room, and we'll start with the Discord going down. So first would be Zammy. What was your favorite moment
My favorite moment,
in the
and I'm
past
gonna be
summer?
selfish. I'm gonna be selfish and go with the Helena moment.
Okay.
Which one?
I think I'm just gonna have to go with the classic Helena biting that man in the alleyway.
Levi Therian first.
Yeah, because one, that was a turning point for the campaign and Helena. And as well as, I don't know why, but that moment when Captain Royce just witnessed me there, along with her all the guards, and she started crying, that hit me. It's just so emotionally
It was
that
funny.
I couldn't even speak.
So Zammy, I don't know if the people know this, but so Zammy, do you want to describe the character you came to with me at first that I shot down?
Yeah, I believe this is the one. It's the one with the blood, right?
Yeah, well,
or was it another one?
what
Yeah.
I remember, so Zammy came to me and was like, "Oh, for this character, I want them to basically be this young disenfranchised girl that eventually ends up with this dark master that teaches her this magic and stuff, and it was gonna be blood magic." And I was like, "No, Zammy, that's not gonna happen. We can't have that happen. You can't start off as an evil character." And the purpose was to become the bad guy, or to be the bad guy. And I'm like, "No, Zamby, you can't do that." And then it literally just happened naturally. So when it happened, I just leaned into it. I thought that was really funny, Zammy. Because I remember. Do you remember our conversation after that?
I do, yeah, especially like at that turning point, and once I had the dream, like the whole entire rest of the campaign, you have just put me through kind of this like mental warfare of what I want to happen with Helena.
I know.
Because like that whole situation of the dream, I was like, oh crap, this is very similar to what I talked to Jafk about at the beginning, while I was making my character. And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go along with this. And then as we got into like a bit like once we got to Helena's dream, I I kind of blocked out her parents when she kind of went into that dark mode, and when I also and Helena got reminded of what her parents were like and how they would see her right now if they could see her right now. That com that also put me in another big battle of like, well, Helena, though her parents were the world to her, so she can't just be like, oh well, that sucks, and like be have this kind of image in her head of her parents being disappointed in her, because I think that's like the worst thing that Helena could think of, her parents being disappointed, and so that's why she kind of leant more towards the good side at the end.
Yeah, because I remember telling Zammy, well said, Zammy. I remember telling you at the beginning that like you can make it like if you want to be a bad character, it has to come out through the story. I wasn't gonna let anybody start out as an evil character. But then I remember when that happened, I remember thinking to myself like I can either try to resist this, and my originally I had thought I was just gonna execute you, Zammy, because you did get caught by the guard and you did create a crime. And then I was like, there's something else here. There's something else here to pull on this thread, because I thought I really, and I mean, it's really amazing actually. Your one deciding moment there literally created the entire rest of the campaign. Because I liked this idea of all of these broken children. That was like the idea of having all of you guys come here, so you could have like your tragic backstory and whatnot. But like basically like these refugee kids that don't have good, nobody had a good background, and to have them come, and I kind of needed you, Helena, because you showed if you embrace the darker aspects of what your feelings meant in the connotation of being an orphan, and like because basically what you were looking for, what it seemed like to me, was kind of like a father figure or a paternal figure. And so you lashed out and you did this, and then you were very easy to accept the masked man as your paternal figure. And so I thought you were really interesting because it was good to have that duality, and it was good to have that kind of it kind of showed what the other, like what maybe what not to become. And it was even better, I think, when you as a player realized that Helena wouldn't want this, but you're already down this path. And because I told you up front, I'm like, okay, you did this. In my world, actions have consequences. I can't guarantee anything. Like your character is not safe now because you did one of the worst crimes possible in our world. And from that on, I didn't know if Helena was gonna die. I didn't think that far ahead. But at the end, it did make sense that different forces would come for you, because in the real world it had been like a couple hours since your sentencing. So, but yeah, I think that's probably the most defining moment of the campaign, I would say. What does everybody else think about it?
No, I agree. I mean, really, Helena's actions kind of like I know it shaped my character and the way my character acted. Like I was able to see like what not to do, I guess you could say. Because like you were saying, we all had really messed up backstories. So like either one of us could have kind of leaned into that hatred. Except for my character couldn't have drank blood. I mean, he could have, but it would have made no sense.
Yeah.
It was really funny because Helena's like moment actually made me develop my backstory because actually I didn't have a backstory before
Yeah.
this.
Vince is notorious for because I think Vince. Is it fair to say you played in games where your backstory is not important?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, most games I play, my backstory is not as important as what my character is and how they are.
And like their
So
utility.
so I normally make characters from the like starting with how do they fit into the party first, and I worry about backstory later.
Mhm. Yeah. So, yeah, couldn't agree with all that more. But go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah, I sort of what I found interesting was that Helena's backstory kind of fit pretty well with like the world lore in general. So like we have this sort of folk tale-esque depiction of like a Mon effectively as being like this monster, and we see like Helena sort of develop from the eyes of everyone else in society as this monster, and like characters who are relatively close to her at the end recognize like there is a way out of this path, but unfortunately there would be no way for the world to tell because of like all the constraints that were put on us.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing, right? I felt like personally that Sirius was not happy with Helena's death. Like he almost because you didn't fight, but you resigned yourself. I think that's what Sirius did, right? Because I think
part of it was also because of like Belford dying, and like he was still kind of torn up about that as well.
Yeah.
But there was also like an aspect of like him noticing Helena like grow and like.
Yeah, because it was tragic.
Like,
it was tragic,
yeah.
right? Because Helena
going
did
back
try
to
to
like
change.
the awkward like walking around like at night, like that also affected him. Like he didn't get a chance to like talk to kids his age all that often.
Yeah.
So it was like this is one of the few times where he like started developing a bond with a group of people. So
And he saw her murdered.
oh yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, so I want to come back to the what is your favorite moment to everybody. But first, before that, actually no, we'll do that. But one question I'm gonna add, so rack your brain, is that for those of you that have played D&D, how do you like Cogent? And we don't have to do that right now. It's up to you guys. If you guys would like to, so next in line would be Cirrus. So Cirrus, you can decide. Would you rather answer, what do you think about Cogent, or would you rather talk about what your favorite moment from the campaign was?
I mean, I could do either. My favorite moment would have been like the Tokyo boat drifting into a hidden area, basically, which unfortunately was lost in time.
I know.
Well, but I guess we saw the second part of that.
What we're gonna do about that, actually, if you guys are down, after we wrap up the podcast, I was gonna make a couple videos real quick, like short, going over basically the videos that didn't have sound / those couple first ones that we didn't record, because I actually wrote down in detail what happened in those first couple episodes. So that might be some content coming up later for other people who are watching this on YouTube. But so Boat Bros was your best. Boat Bros.
Yep.
Ivan, yeah, okay.
It was my favorite too, not gonna lie.
Your favorite was the Boat Bro too?
Yeah, I was not part of it, but I was on the boat, so you know.
I think it was just like us three for that session, right?
It was just me, you, and
it was
Helena,
us three.
Anakin, yeah.
Oh, okay. Helena
no, it was just us three at the time.
She jumped into the water or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then like we almost got.
Yeah, everyone else.
She got Thanos. She got Thanos
yeah.
snap.
Yeah, like that whole time during the boat bro part, I was like, God, is Helena like just
dead?
What's happening with Helena? That's all I was thinking of throughout the whole session. Was like, did I just kill Helena right now?
Probably.
Ivan, you know, we can still do it. You know, the Redwall Drifters.
Oh yeah. Redwall Drifters Part 2. Sirius becomes a sailor.
It's a pirate game where you only drift boats, no parking, because that's lame.
I mean, I can see that happening to Sirius. That is a potential path he could take. I guess like that's the other thing that I guess will come up in a question later is like it's going to be a few years like sort of thematically.
There is a question coming up that is
where we sort of come back together.
What do you see your character doing going forward? But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So I think next, great answer, Ivan. to you, Uhtred, what was your favorite moment in the campaign?
There were, I don't know, I like the whole
So actually,
campaign,
we should
but
distinguish
I think,
it because there are two questions here. There was what was your favorite moment, and what was your favorite moment with your character. So we should probably split that up into two different questions. I should have asked it
yeah.
in the other order. Um, so maybe answer
So,
what was your favorite with your own character first.
so I think the favorite moment with my character was probably, um, honestly, it was probably when I was in my dream and I kind of laid to rest all the issues of the past because like that kind of stuff was holding my character back on purpose, and I designed it on purpose for that way because like I didn't want my character. There wanted to be potential for growth, so like him kind of laying to rest the demons that he had was kind of my favorite moment with my character. And then for the campaign, I would have to say the favorite moment for the campaign, I think, was Helena's dream.
Hmm.
Because, like we were going over before, Helena was like evil incarnate to the group. Like, that's like when we first entered the dream. I mean, for not like, I think we had Randy's dream first and then my dream before Helena's. Like, she was trying to kill me. So, like, to my character specifically, like, Helena, we had spent time on like traveling to Redwall and a little bit in, but she was still kind of unknown. We didn't really know about her past. So then when we got to see her return to kind of like a childlike innocence and like return to a state before she did what she did, kind of like, because like Zami, I want you to know that like, like me as a player and like Uhtred had not decided that he had to kill you until like that session.
Yep. I think it was
Like,
basically
my
it was more like your responsibility because I'd kind of come to Jake and I'm like, there are forces that are gonna come to get Helena to try to because they're gonna try to find her and try to like execute her like they're trying to,
well,
and
I even like when we were playing like right afterwards, with actually, so I'm gonna have two favorite moments from the game. I think it's the scene with Luck too, because like that's where I had to make my mind up. Like basically, I was kind of undeciding, so I told you to go to the Weeping Anvil. To like my whole intention was like I was still split between like having to turn you in or helping you escape, and like either way it would have worked because I would have known where you were. And then when I went to the hospital, I got confronted by Luck and basically had to like choose a side, kind of, and that's where I had to make my mind up.
well, because the way we talked about it, Jake, right, is it was less of like
Mm-hmm.
you hated Helena, it was more of like you would rather, it was like putting down your own dog.
Yeah.
It was like you felt responsible and you
Mm-hmm.
felt like you wanted to not have her burn alive, and that it was kind of you're almost like an older brother, like you were putting down like a family
It
member.
was it was it was the scene from Mice and Men.
Exactly.
Lenny.
Lenny is just Randy.
No lies though.
Mm. Okay, good. Oh, that was your. Was that? Those were. Did you say two? Were your
I
favorite
answered
ones?
both.
Okay, good.
So I answered mine, and then I answered two for the campaign one.
Okay. Well, then we're on to Wesley. What was your favorite moment with your character, and then what was your favorite moment in the campaign?
Okay, that's a really hard question because, like I said, I came up with Wesley. Like, I'm the type of guy who likes making supporting characters. Like, I don't like hogging the spotlight. I just like my small moment to help boost everyone else up. So that's why, like, I end up taking like small side roles, like medics and like healers and like people who just are bards, like in D&D, where I just buff everyone else up and have them have their spotlight. So, like, I mean, my dream was really nice, I guess. It like gives you like
That was really
understanding.
nice.
uh
Your dream
like
scared the shit out of me, Vince.
yeah,
Colossal
so
murdering
I
demon
guess I'd have to
things.
say
Yep.
it would be
There you
my
go.
dream, because like I wanted to play Wesley off as like, this guy who doesn't seem like he'd have a lot of trauma because he hides it and gets over it and like just tries to not like make it a big deal. But yeah, I guess like getting a moment to shine was really nice because I had never thought about it before. Like literally everything was on the spot, basically, like what me and Jack did.
So basically, for people who don't know, a lot of the dreams, the people here would write their backstory, and then they didn't know they knew their dream was coming once they got in, but they didn't know what I was gonna do with it. And I took some creative liberties, and so far nobody's complained about that at all.
But
which made
mine's
me
more
really happy.
different because everyone had backstories, and then I didn't, except for like the 4 days leading up. I had to make one like on the spot.
Yeah.
It-
I basically pushed Vince to kind of like give me something, and a lot of that was things that I came up with on the spot.
Yeah, it was mostly
But-
Jack.
But me and Vince actually did sit down and actually talk about like there was a lot of consideration because it was kind of a sticking point like so I don't know if any of you guys know this, but Wesley has shards, right?
Yeah.
It's not Wesley, it's Felix. I will never call you Wesley.
How dare you dead name him?
I mean, technically Wesley is my dead name because
True.
if they
Alive
find
name
like
him.
if people find out that I'm actually Wesley from Cambrai, they're going to kill me.
Yeah, because
'Cause I have
we learned
shards.
in your dream, right, that you're resistant to shards, which is
Yeah.
nobody's ever been. And
Yeah.
we were talking about that, and I remember like Vince was kind of annoyed of me kind of pushing him to make his backstory, and then after the session, he was like, "I understand why you did that."
Yeah, because, like, remember, I'm the guy who's always like, oh, my character's just here to help you guys, you know? Because I get enjoyment from helping other people. Like, not
Well,
really, like...
you did save my life.
Oh, yeah, that was the second... That was actually the second scene I was thinking about, if I were thinking about best, like, was saving your life. Because, like, I don't know, I just really like the idea of helping people, and then, like, just letting them be their, like, the main character, like... I'm just here to facilitate your chances of like continuing to live your story. So that's me. But favorite scene of all, it's like either Helena, murdering all those people in that alley, because that was holy shit, what the fuck, or it was her dream. But yeah, it was a Helena thing, definitely. Just one of the random crazy things that Helena did. Just kind of. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I have a lot. But like, last one is when Kilroy killed himself.
Really, that was one of your
Actually, that was one of my favorites. Was when Kilroy killed himself because it was something that like I feel like I was the only one who like I understood immediately. And it was like a both, holy shit, I didn't realize you could do this. And also like, oh, this is so sad because like it is what you had to do.
Yeah.
It was just like a holy shit moment. Like at first I didn't understand, but I immediately understood. And then I was like, oh no, I understand.
Well, that's a good segue. Let's go into that then. So how did you guys feel about Kilroy? Because so just so you guys know, so for the audience out there.
Here.
Oh, what's up, Anakin? We had you join. Yay!
He joined at the exact right time.
Hello, Anakin. How is that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were just starting to talk about Kilroy.
Yeah. Well, not
really?
Not his Kilroy.
Yeah,
his
I know.
KC,
it will
not
segue. It'll segue into other Kilroys.
Yeah. So we'll segue into this, and we'll come back around to you, Anakin. And I have a question for you once we finish this line of discussion. But yeah, so how did you guys like Kilroy? Because I thought it was really weird that you guys got attached to Kilroy. So I told Jake this. Yeah, I originally wrote Kilroy to die in the crypt fight.
Oh
Jake.
no!
And the only reason he didn't is because Jake played that session and there was nobody else there, and so Jake would have died in the crypt because I built that encounter for the group, and it was a lot of spore infected, and so Kilroy ended up actually like fighting tooth and nail, and Koyo did too. So
Koyo died.
So that but how did you guys like Kilroy? I thought it was weird that you guys got attached to Kilroy so quickly. He was.
You thought it was weird?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Because I think it's because I kept planning his death and putting it off, and you guys kept like the running joke became we're not gonna let Kilroy die.
Well, for me, it was just because Kilroy was a nice person, and for Wesley, he wants to like help everyone, and yeah. But I liked Kilroy because he was just genuinely a nice person who like sort of understood like the people in our
I don't
party.
like Island. I didn't like Island Kilroy though.
Yeah, I remember. It's too bad that didn't record because
You mean murderer Kilroy?
I remember that moment, which is weird. It's just awful because some people might not understand that, like, on the island.
Oh,
He tried to
did
kill
that session
us.
not record? I thought it was just the boat part.
No, well, the recap should have. I'm not sure what didn't record. I forget, but the recap next session should have brought people up to speed. But yeah, like Kilroy on the island before Vex basically Minecrafted him into a new personality or made him something else. That was I loved that moment because I loved having this, and that was like always written because that it's funny. The reason why Kilroy has a decent backstory was because
You
he
tried
knew
to kill
Vex. Well, no, because he knew Vex, and Vex is like a main character, and so the reason why he had such
Except she wasn't anymore because Kilroy basically took over.
I know. I don't know. You guys got so attached to Kilroy, and I'm happy about
It's because
that.
Vex is mean.
Yeah, she punched me.
Yeah, she did punch. You deserved it.
It's because
Well,
like Kilroy
that's
relates to
debatable.
people better. Because
That's-
Kilroy is like
yeah.
weaker, so he understands what we're going through because we're all weak. But Vex is like stronger, so she like assumes that everyone else around her is strong and then
Well-
belittles us when we're not.
The reason, so my character, like, when you came to us to make our ideas, like, you basically told us, you know, you can't have a bunch of fucking, a bunch of vampires running around, right? So I chose to play on hard mode. So I, like, I made him a backstory hard mode. But
Hard
I
mode. He
related to
means
Kilroy.
mudblood. He means mudblood is hard mode.
Yeah, Mudblood is like veteran mode on COD. So like, I like Kilroy because personally, if Kilroy had died, I would have never related to Vex. The only reason I respected Vex was because of how she treated Kilroy. Because it kind of showed that she could care for someone that, like, she wasn't the stereotypical rich person or noble person. But if it wasn't for Kilroy's extended influence, like, yeah, no, that wouldn't have happened.
Same here because I related to Kilroy, or at least Wesley did, because you know they're both like sick and weak. Because you know Wesley has a disability and has shards, and Kilroy has shards, and like it was just like I understand what it's like to like be suffering through a lot of shit, because you know Wesley doesn't talk about it, so he doesn't ever have like anyone to relate to unless you talk to him. But
Can I ask a question to Ivan real quick? Because it's been bugging me since the game started. What is the whole mirror trick?
Oh, the mirror trick is just flashing a mirror in someone's eye.
But why do you do it to Vex all the time?
Oh, there is actually an in-character reason, I guess. I guess like if you know a little bit about Sirius's backstory, it'd make a little bit of sense. But like I guess he was raised in sort of like this noble royal family, as you expect, right? But he doesn't necessarily like nobility all the time, and he doesn't really like snotty nobility, because it's sort of like they kind of take advantage of the weak he's seen, and he's sort of against that. And he didn't really have a good read on Vex and if she was really a good person, so he just kind of like toying with her, and he recognized like, hey, she makes like really funny reactions when I do this. So being like a teenager or whatever, he just kept doing it.
Fair enough.
I love it.
So back to Kilroy, and then I want to get to Anakin because I want to ask him his questions. Yeah, like really, Kilroy was supposed to he was supposed to show you guys like a little bit about the world, and he was supposed to die because like he was supposed to show you guys that the world is not this kind like place. Like
no shit, I think we already knew that from all our backstories.
I don't think you guys did, but you wrote it in a backstory, but you hadn't lived it yet. There was a difference. And for Kilroy's purpose initially was going to be this underdog, where it's like this isn't an anime. The underdog doesn't come back and win. The underdog dies. But he did
come back.
Because, well, I mean, I felt like that's where the story wanted to take it. So I kind of another big thing is I don't feel like I decide the story. I kind of just the story makes itself. Actually, it's weird, but I'm glad you guys liked Kilroy. I want to ask this question to Anakin just to get him talking here.
Thank you.
Anakin, Anakin, what? Okay, and we're gonna break this into two different questions. And I asked this to everybody else. And if anybody hasn't answered a certain part of this question that they'd like to change, please do it after Anakin. But
Okay.
what was your favorite moment of your character, and then what was your favorite moment of the campaign?
I think my favorite moment was when he kind of went beast mode in his dream.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my favorite
He was
because that
fighting
was
the
like
Witch
the
Queen.
first. Yeah, that was like the first time that I
Oh,
the
he's cutting out. Hello,
the
Anakin.
center
Is everybody else
or
hearing
the
this?
Robo
hello. Can you hear
mode.
me?
Yeah, I
Oh
hear
yeah,
it.
hold on. Yeah, repeat what you said there. You went robo mode there for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I think my favorite for the entire campaign. Oh, that's a hard. Oh, see, I didn't prepare myself for this question.
That's fine. Well, I think it's interesting. We should point out that Anakin. So Anakin was from. We have so the character who plays Randy JT. He has a campaign, and that's how I know Anakin. And I knew that I wanted to drag Anakin into my game because I liked his RP. And so I talked with him because by the time I wanted him to join, the game had actually already gone into the dreams. So there really wasn't a way to introduce a new character. But I had designed this character that was going to be what ended up becoming the caretaker, KF, Killer of the Fool, as like this kind of like shepherd of the dream. And I was like, yeah, like that would be a perfect role. And at first, and actually it wasn't a perfect role, because at first actually having unlimited power and me not clearly explaining what you were supposed to do, like 100%, kind of made it so that you had to tiptoe around. And I think actually the best moment for me towards you was when I took away all your powers.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah,
was really crucial.
that was one of my favorite scenes, and when the crater scene with Elena and the masked man,
Hmm.
that was a good one.
Did you think you were dead when you disappeared?
Hmm.
Helena thought she was dead.
I think, yeah, I think you would have.
Yeah. Well, so is that
Yeah.
so? Do you want to come back to your favorite moment? Has it changed, or do you need a minute?
I pretty much
Was it becoming the
honestly
Witch Queen? Was it like getting killed
see
by Randy?
see 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 like everything after whenever he got impaled by the demon,
Hmm.
it was still fun to play, but having to be confined to the one
Yeah.
the one default mood was kind of difficult.
Well,
But I
you could have
think
role played out of it, but I'm glad you played it the way you did because it's supposed to be debilitating. Like, it wasn't like you
oh
get.
yeah.
It wasn't like you get. You do not want to get touched by those things at all.
Yeah.
You really don't. And
um
you rolled the best one, actually.
yeah, see, you could say that, but honestly I think it would have been pretty fun to role play with like severe back pain for the rest of his life.
I think the other two options were chronic pain, and the other one was like neurological damage. Were the other two roles things, but
We could have had a second Randy.
oh man, yeah, that would have.
See, what do you mean by like neurological damage?
Oh, I mean, I mean, like you literally like your motor functions wouldn't have worked. You would basically had what's it called, Parkinson's, where you shake.
Oh, I see. See,
Nobody
because
Would
was
have
that's
been
supposed to
more
the
get
fun.
touched. Nobody was supposed to get touched by those guys.
I
But
think it would have been more fun to have like Randy basically talking to Randy.
Yes. I think one of my favorite funny moments of the game is when JT, who plays Randy, decided to be smart for a second and
Yeah, okay.
not have a negative intelligence, and then he took it back, and then a brick fell, and like
I think
smart
I
Randy
think
appeared for 1 second.
that's definitely, yeah, now that I think about it, that's definitely my favorite part of the entire campaign.
Oh, really? Hey, man, awesome.
Was that
Is
part even
Randall.
recorded? I think it was like during our like stat allocation, which I don't know if you record those.
Yeah, I don't think it was
I
recorded.
usually don't. Yeah, what happened? Yeah,
It's-
basically, Randy's like, "Oh, I'll take a point of intelligence, so I'm not like mentally deficient anymore." And he's like, "No, actually, I'll just take more strength. I like being like mentally retarded." And so a brick fell, and it was
That was funny.
okay.
Another
But-
good moment is when Randy actually had a thought of his own,
During the final
and
battle.
during the final battle, he's like, "No, I won't," and then he continues to pick his nose.
Okay. Well, did anybody else have any? Did anybody not answer one of those two questions? They'd like to add something? No.
Well,
Okay.
you added the favorite character moment, but
Yes, the favorite
hold on,
character
I'm
moment.
eating something.
Because I got a lot more questions to ask, but
It's like my whole backstory was interesting on my part.
you liked it?
Part of it was like sort of, I guess, cordoned off from like the rest of the party because it was involving like me talking to like Belford in his last dying moments. But there was an interesting sort of moral sort of consideration there, and kind of like a guilt, I guess. Like, yeah.
I think that was
Going
one of
to
my
that
favorite
in
moments.
really
Was your
detail.
moment in the
Yeah.
sewer? That was very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
There's like definitely a lot of double meaning, and it was great. Did
yeah,
everything really well.
I thought it was really amazing too. I think that was one of my favorite moments, was in that sewer. I really liked that a lot. That was there was a lot there. There was a lot of like just emotion and double meaning, and like it was good, and I was really happy with that. Anybody else got anything to add? Because if not, I will ask the new question. Sounds like you don't. So, next question, again, starting from the top of the Discord thing. So, actually, Anakin, you would be first. What didn't you see coming?
What didn't I see coming? Getting like immobilizing depression. I can't say that I saw that one coming.
Fair enough. What didn't you see coming, Helena?
Okay. There are three main moments I didn't see coming. One of them was Captain Royce witnessing me murder the man. Another one was when Uhtred, kind of in a way, just betrayed Helena. I wouldn't say betrayed is a very harsh word, but
killed you.
Yeah, killed me, because that was a big shift. Because the last time Helena talked to Uhtred, they weren't necessarily good, but they were comfortable with each other, and they've kind of formed a bond that they didn't have before the dreams and before Helena went on a murder spree. And then I was kind of content with what we were having, and then all of a sudden, hey, I want to kill Helena. That was like a, oh crap, I kind of feel backstabbed. And then another moment that I was shocked by was when, and this was kind of like a private moment between me and Jaff, that after the trial, that I would be broken out, and then all of the actions in the dream would occur, and then some more. Because to be honest, I think I ditched one of the sessions because I didn't finish my new character. And so I was doing like a bunch of work with my new replacement character for Helena, and then he comes up and he's like, "Hey, all of that stuff is actually going to happen."
Well,
And
I came to you and I asked you. I came to ask you, and I asked you that, and then I'm like, would you want more to happen? at the time, you were like, yes. And I was like, who do you want to kill? And you were like, I don't know. And I'm like, how about Micah Pinkerton? You were like, yes. And I was like, how about Sergeant Nobbs? You were like, yes. And I was like, how about like this list of other people?
And another moment which I never really delved into with Helena in the roleplay was when she figured out that Vex enthralled Kilroy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that was also a moment where she felt incredibly betrayed. Like, and I don't know, like, in this situation, I don't know what Vex could have done to really help anything, but what was going through Helena's mind was like, oh, I did this
Hypocrite.
horrible thing, and she could have been there for me. She could have helped me,
But instead,
and
she turned her
she
back.
just spit on me.
Hmm.
And
Like-
I never really delved into that with Vex because Helena and Vex have this really complicated relationship.
Well,
Was it like
initially-
Vex was being a hypocrite?
Yeah,
Because she broke an ancient law, but she's hiding it, and then she's pretending to be so disgusted with you, even though she's done something similar.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Characters. I mean, I hope, if anything, that characters have nuance. Yeah. Very good.
Except for me. Wesley has no nuance.
Yeah, but that was
Wesley's
another
so
thing.
happy-go-lucky.
I liked the idea. Well, the reason why I made the laws I did was because I saw a way in which the laws were actually wrong. Right? Because the laws are kind of wrong. Because Helena, you could argue, is just defending herself, and her natural instinct
Could
just came out.
argue.
Well, no, but after the, well, I mean, the torture on the ground was probably where
It was
crossed
really
the line.
weird. Because the torture on the ground wasn't what she was getting sentenced for. It was just the sucking of blood.
It was
Like,
the sucking
it
of
would have
blood.
been fine if she tortured people to death and like made them like
not
regret
torture to
living.
death. No, you can't. That's there's rules against like torturing people to death.
Sure. That's what it felt like. Yeah, totally.
But
It's not
her
like
main crime was that she drank his blood, and I
Yeah, I
thought
know.
that like it was wrong what Helena did, but the law also might be wrong, and that's why I liked it so much, was because it was kind of nuanced. It was like, yeah, you could see why having this hard rule on this law would preserve civilization, because you wouldn't have vampires drinking everybody else's blood and using them as cattle, and you'd get rid of that. But at the same time, you'd have these edge cases where is justice really being served? And I thought that was interesting. So great answer, Helena. On to you, Ivan. What moment did you not see coming?
I guess the dream sequence in general. Like, I guess we sort of had like that night at the Weeping Anvil where it was like we were just kind of chilling and like Vex brought like booze or whatever. And then we just suddenly wake up and it's like snowing and like everything's getting like heated up, and like that was just like completely out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering like the events of the previous day, and you just start sort of running through all these scenarios in your head, especially with like the feeling that like Sirius was being hunted, obviously because of like the ring ordeal and everything, how that wasn't clear.
Mm-hmm.
There was just like this entire buildup of unexpected things just from like that night, basically.
Mm. Yeah, I guess we can touch on that later. I want to come back to how you guys felt about the dreams, but with that, Uhtred, what didn't you see coming?
I'm like Zammy. I have a couple things.
Okay.
One personal thing I honestly did not see coming was when we were in my dream and Helena's like, "Yo, your mom looked like a whole snack." It's just like attacks my mom and is like drinking her blood.
Oh god, that was hilarious. I
Didn't
wasn't
see that
there,
one
but
coming.
hearing the recap was funny.
And then another one I didn't see coming was like, was honestly like Ivan said, the whole dream sequence, like that was like out of nowhere and I didn't expect it. And then third one would probably be like, honestly, it'd be like Kilroy killing himself.
Yeah.
I had not thought that through at all.
Yeah, I didn't expect that at all. Yeah, when he gave that speech and then just slit his throat, I was just like looking at my computer with my jaw dropped.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a hard moment because I had to write that in a way. I don't know, it was weird. I had to play Kilroy so much that I kind of understood. Like, I got deeper into his mentality. And, like, I hopefully it makes sense now. Like, even why even though he's probably the weakest one, he feels the most obligated to protect everybody else. Um, he has to protect people, and that was kind of a thing with Killer. Like, I always knew, and that was kind of one of the ways he was probably gonna die in the crypt. But just in general, like, he was always willing to sacrifice himself for the people he decided he was going to protect. And before that was Vex, and it eventually extended to you guys. And because, Kilroy, like, we didn't really ever get into that too much, but like, and I won't get into it too much here because that might actually come out during the game. But Kilroy did not have really a happy time in Redguard or in Redwall. Like, he was very ostracized. Like, things were good at first, and then things became. I don't want to go into it too much, but things were not the nicest for him. But he tried to make the best of it. But he didn't have a lot of friends. That was one thing. And so you guys kind of were his first real friends, like friends, besides like adults and stuff who were trying to talk to him and keep up with him and stuff like the Laughing Storm and whatnot. But I thought that was
I
interesting.
also forgot a moment. I don't know why. I don't know why me and Knox didn't think of this, but when we found out that was Kilroy's money, like, that just, like, I did not even think of that, and, like, yeah, that completely, I was like, damn, I'm about to go to jail.
Well, it was funny because, like, Uhtred had so much character growth because Jake initially thought he was going to be this crime lord.
Mm-hmm.
And now, well, we'll touch on what Jake's gonna want to become later in the next part. But so then the next question, if you're done, Jake, would be to
I'm
Wesley.
done now.
So what didn't you see coming?
I think it's hard. Like, okay, so for me, the biggest thing I never saw coming was because I've never I've never been in any games with Zammy. So I was just like, oh, I get it. She's the stereotypical shy girl. She's probably really nice and sweet when she opens up, but she's just like doesn't want to. And then she brutally murdered like 3 people in an alley. And I was
No,
just
it
like,
was one person. It was one person in the alley, and then it was like 11 people later.
like I at first I was like, oh, she's probably just moody because it meant a lot, and then she like went on her own. I'm like, it'll be fine. I'm like, I'm actually more worried for her, but then like as like it kept going, I was like, oh my god, I should be more worried for anyone she meets. What the fuck is going on? What the hell is happening? Like as she like
Which is interesting because
tortures
by the end of
someone.
it, you were actually kind of on her side. You were sad when she died.
I mean, yeah, because she kind of changed.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like after
did
that, I was
change.
like, well, I was like, wait, did she do it because she was just like angry? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I'm a person who always gives people like multiple chances because I always feel like maybe circumstances like dictated how you act, right?
And is that how
So
Wesley
like,
behaved?
yeah, that's how Wesley behaves, right? He gives everyone as many chances as possible. He's like super optimistic about anyone because he can't like handle like knowing like the world is bad because then he'll have to confront the fact that like, you know, his entire town just died and like, you know, they tried to kill him. But don't worry about it. Like that's literally like what Wesley does is like, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Like everyone's a nice person at heart. Maybe it was just their circumstances.
But I think that's an interesting point, though. I mean, Helena actually did change. Like, that was the it was hard to do what I had to do to Helena for like what made sense in terms of the world. And because I knew that Helena had changed, because Zammy had come to me and was like, yeah, I want to change, and I'm like, yeah, but in the real world, like, nobody else saw this. This has been a couple hours. You just murdered all those people, and I thought it was really kind of it was tragic. You know?
I will say, Uhtred was sad that what happened.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Well, there's always a choice. Remember that. And remember, we are all Amon. That was greatest line of the entire. That stuck the entire as the campaign. We are Amon. So, well, that's what you didn't see coming. So the next question is kind of interesting. What would you change if you could? Would you have changed anything about the story? Are you happy where it ended? Or would have there been anything you changed? I'm curious, actually. And actually, it starts with Anakin. Would you have changed getting crippling depression and like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that that's the biggest thing that came to mind. But also, I think it would also be really fun to not have tried to be independent so quickly. Like, maybe actually listened to the real Kilroy for a little longer instead of just ignoring him just like that.
What do you mean the real Kilroy? You mean the Masked Man?
The Masked Man, yeah.
So you would have rather so like almost like this apprenticeship, this reverence.
Yeah.
That would have actually been I could have seen that being really interesting. Yeah. Great response actually. Didn't think about that. Helena.
This isn't something I would want to change. I'm happy with how the events with Helena and the campaign happened, but I would really, if I didn't fall into temptation during the court trial, if I didn't murder, what was it, Natalie, old grandma, if I didn't murder her, and if I did resist all these dark feelings, and I would have, I believe, with how things would have been, I would have, I wouldn't be sentenced to death tomorrow. I would
No,
have
you would have been
time to
sentenced to
live.
death until you could continue your line. You would have been sentenced to death. It would have been like a prolonged, because these are like ancient barbaric laws, and like they haven't had to use them in a really long time. And so like there was a consideration where if you did resist the temptation, I was gonna let you live your life out, knowing that you would die once you continued your line. Um, because like in the religion of the world, right, there is no afterlife. You live on through your kin. So when you kill somebody like that and with no parents, no siblings, you're actually killing, like you're cutting off a lot more people, and that's why it's considered taboo. But yeah, great. Yeah, because I remember I did give you a choice, but that is a great response. Because I wonder how the story would have happened. Like none of this would have happened. Maybe I don't know. I would have to. I wouldn't know because it didn't happen. So great response. How about you, Sirius? What would you change if you could? Would you change anything?
I mean, I'm happy with Sirius as he is right now, and like his future is going to be a little bit complicated moving forward. I guess like minor details and like sort of like how he reacted to sort of the Masked Man, but nothing like too major, I'd say.
What do you mean how he reacted to the Masked Man? What do you mean by that?
I had an idea when I was like after the session, but I can't quite remember what it is now.
Was it like you wish you wouldn't have tortured him to death, or?
Yeah, I think it would have been probably better to do it a little bit more gracefully, but maybe that makes sense as well.
Maybe.
Like, but nobody saw. Nobody saw. I mean, that was between you and him.
That's true.
Hey, don't you dare call it torture. As we know from the other campaign, it's enhanced interrogation.
Enhanced interrogation.
Well, if you got nothing else to add, Ivan.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. If people are happy with how it turned out, then I'm happy with that. Jake, what would you change if you could?
Honestly, I'm really happy with how it turned out. But one thing I would have changed was I would have blew Micah Pinkerton off, and I would have gone with Helena to find the bracelet. Because basically what I did was like I had daggers on me at this point. I had 2 daggers. Like I was the only one with weapons. And,
Actually,
like,
Jake,
I
more
knew
than that, you were the only one with street smarts.
Yep. Also, basically, like what I did was like I took a bunch of people into a safari and stranded them there. It was like deuces. So I wish I would have gone with her because I probably could have.
It wasn't your fault though.
But we probably would have been able to like get out of there before like. Well, she probably would have never sought out
Murdered anyone
seedy
yet.
people in an alleyway to hire them to find.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
what I would have changed.
I was literally like watching a train wreck as it happened.
Would you have? So you would have changed that, or would you have like knowing how the story is now and what it led to? If you could change that moment right now and play out the rest of the story the other way, would you do it, or is
You know, I still would because I always hate to see a player's character die.
me too?
And like, I feel like Helena had a lot of potential, so
I
that
think
was
she did
kind of
too.
sad.
What?
And I liked Helena before she became a murderous person.
Yeah. It was it was hard. I'm bad at like the reason why it took so long for because I told Zammy when he did that I'm like, oh, your character's most likely going to be executed, and that's just it. And so start making a new character. And I let Zammy basically play Helena for I think another like 12 sessions before got the axe or the sword. But yeah,
Actually, it was a dagger. Thank you very much.
it was
So,
yeah. Ash's arms. So
Ash's arms. It took down Helena. You're good.
took down the monster of Redwall. Wesley. What would you change if you could? Were you satisfied with how the story ended? Would you change anything? Or are you happy with how it ended? Vince? Well, he's not here apparently. So
I'm thinking. No, I'm thinking. It's hard. It's a hard question to.
I think you're watching a YouTube video.
No, I'm not watching a YouTube video. I swear.
Okay.
Okay.
We
so
heard it playing like 5 minutes earlier.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that I would have let it play out the same way. I think the only thing I would change was literally have had a backstory earlier, so I could have made more character development along the way. And maybe I would have like done the opposite. I would have made like it very obvious that Wesley was blind at first, but then like made it like had him like show that he like wasn't as blind as he makes himself out to be. Like I would have done the opposite. But other than that, I think I like exactly where it went. I again kind of just enjoy being a background character that just has small tiny surprises. So yeah, I am pretty happy with how the entire campaign went, not gonna lie.
That's a question to everybody. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. I said, to be fair, Vince, I dimed you out in session 0, so
at times
I dimed you out as like being blind in session 0.
Yeah, I know. So I would have done the opposite. I would have just told everyone I was blind first, but then like, somehow I can, walk upstairs, do all this other shit, and they'd be like, wait, how the fuck is a blind person doing half of these things?
Yeah.
I would have done the opposite, and it would have been a little better, I think, instead of trying to hide it, because it's weird to hide something that's so life-altering, and like, why would you do that? Because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, because not everyone expects you to do something, and you'll fail.
Well, to be fair, I did tell you to do that.
I know.
I told you as a player, like my character was like, "Why are you hiding it? Just tell people, you'll get free shit."
Yeah, I know. The moment you said that, I was like, "Wait, that actually was just a better idea in general."
I don't know. I think it makes a little bit of sense because, like, if you think like back to like the session where we were like in the castle and you wanted to like read books and stuff, it's kind of like you have this aspiration of like being a doctor or whatever.
Yeah, that was the idea. Was like he's so fixated on it that he doesn't want to. He doesn't care about his eyesight. Like he doesn't care about the fact that he's like not technically what a doctor should be. But I don't know.
Well, So actually, I just popped in my head because we were kind of talking about half. So where would you guys rate this campaign in terms of all the roleplay you've played? I'm curious, and be honest, please. Like, is this your favorite? Is this your least favorite? Has this been
This is-
enjoyable? Has this been fun?
for me, this is probably third best.
Third best. That's pretty good. And actually, we'll start with Anakin. We'll go down.
This is, I think, it being us playing Cogent is a big aspect of it. But this is definitely one of my favorite campaigns. Like, not only just like how I get to play my character, but seeing how everyone else plays their character. It's this one is definitely one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Good. Helena, what do you think? Worst campaign? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely the worst campaign I've ever
Definitely the
played.
worst campaign.
But
Fucking
in
my
reality,
character died.
I this is also one of my favorites. And that's really it. This is just one of my favorites. I found it kind of easy to play Helena, especially at the beginning, because I was kind of following a stereotype of it wasn't it was kind of shy girl, but it was more like, oh, I'm not okay. That's the whole time I was thinking, just I'm not okay, and how do I try to hide it?
Hmm.
Because like Helena, I don't believe I played her like, oh, she's so depressed and everyone knows it and she's kind of forcing it upon everyone. But I thought I was thinking about playing her as, oh, she's going through one of the toughest moment in her life so far. Um, and I just need to try to find a way to make sure no one knows that, so she can kind of hide those feelings and maybe feel some happiness from it.
Hmm.
And I don't know how I just got a little off topic, so I'm gonna end this thought right here.
No, you're good.
But this was one of my favorite campaigns.
Ivan, worst campaign, best campaign? Did you have fun?
I'd say easily best, but I haven't really played a whole lot of like D&D and sort of role playing games in general. Like I've only played like 4, and only like 3 of those are really like more long term. Like my first campaign like didn't have any RP at all.
Yeah.
And like this is really like kind of like the main campaign, which like really went RP heavy and like character lore heavy, and like I found that I like really enjoyed that part of roleplay.
Yeah, I guess that's
And
a general
like,
question.
you were a pretty good narrator to sort of
Oh, thank you. I was
be sort of in like the role playing like atmosphere and stuff.
I will lump because we're gonna come back to kind of do you guys like the role play in the Cogent, but we'll have to get back to that. But thank you, Ivan. Jake, best campaign, worst campaign? Did you have fun?
Definitely number one for me, and I had a lot of fun. Like, I'm kind of with Ivan on this. That like I like the world lore and like our backstories actually matter, and like they came out, and I like RP more than just like, hey, there's a dude it's gonna take like a million swings to kill kind of thing. So I definitely number one.
Well, let's get into the next topic then, because Vince, you already answered, so we'll loop back to the top. And I just want to say something in general here that I keep thinking. I made this first arc to build out the world and your character backstories, because I always didn't like it in games where you play it, and I always feel like in D&D you play and there's like a pre-written story you're following, and you're not you don't feel like the main character because the main character's backstories matters, right? And I felt like sometimes in D&D it doesn't. And so that's why I kind of came up with the dreams. I thought the dreams was a brilliant solution to force people to show their backstories, and so everyone would understand each other a bit better. But so on to the next question, which is very related to this. Anakin, I mean, how did you like Cogent, how did you like the way I ran it? How did you like the combat, the role play? Like, what did you think of it compared to D&D?
As a first impression, I loved it. Like I love how much easier it is to, just kind of get into your character than D&D. I loved how it's more focused on RP than, especially combat. Um but at the same time, there's just like there's things about D&D that you just can't really, simulate, but also see, I don't really think I could pick like whether I straight up like Cogent or D&D more, because they're both like really really enjoyable in their different ways.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I would prefer. I think I would prefer to play or I know I prefer to narrate Cogent. I haven't played as much Cogent because I'm the narrator. But good answer. On to you, Helena. Do you like Cogent? Do you think it's better, worse than D&D? I mean, or you have the opinion more of Anakin, where you think they're both like, there's both some, there's you would rather have both.
Compared to D&D, I like the role play more. But I definitely like the combat, even though it's long in D&D. I do like it more
It's
in
more
D&D.
tactical. It is.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of it.
Um.
Part of it also because I don't have a magic system, and you guys are 14-year-olds. But
Uh. Yeah, because I felt well. Yeah, another reason is that we're 14, and I did realize I did role play a whole bunch more in combat than I would have ever done in D&D. Um. But I think just the way the way initiative works in Cogent, it can be a little bit complicated
yeah, I
at
can.
times, because especially when someone higher in initiative, or I'm trying to put this in good words, but yeah, trying someone higher in initiative trying to influence someone lower, or especially vice versa. Um, it just yeah, it can get confusing sometimes, and then
Definitely
some
can.
turns are kind of wasted at
Mm-hmm.
times. But yeah,
Okay.
uh, each has their strengths.
Fair enough. Cirrus, did you like Cogent? Did you not like it? What do you think it compares to D&D?
Yeah, I like Cogent better than D&D. I think with D&D, it's easier to botch the combat as a DM because like you can make these encounters that like are cool on paper, but then end up being sort of like turns where you're just kind of fighting and rolling for like a few hours straight, and then you don't really move anywhere. So I think Cogent helps with that by like sort of I guess like lubricating the machine, I guess, and like making the combat encounters fun and like resolving them sort of in a satisfying way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel the same. I think my favorite thing about Cogent is that the combat doesn't feel like it feels like just more roleplay. Like you just roleplay what your character would do, and then you roll the dice based on that. You don't be like, I'm gonna take the attack option and swing my broadsword that has this damage. Like that is my least favorite part about uh, D&D. Like I would say I prefer Cogent to D&D actually. If I were to play it, I think now that I think about it, I would say that because I do agree with you, Ivan. I think so. I don't know. I haven't played it though, so I don't I played once with Jake, and actually that's perfect segue. Jake, do you prefer Cogent? Do you prefer D&D? Do you think each of them have their place? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think it really depends on like I prefer the Cogent system for combat 100% because it kind of like Cogent seems like a much easier system for new players to jump into, which I am. Like I cannot keep up with like D&D shit at all when we're playing. Like I get confused at like why certain damages output and all this stuff, and I like Cogent better because it also feels more realistic because like you take injury levels versus like health points Because like I can guarantee you, like if I got slashed with a sword, no matter how shitty the roll on dice was, if it was in real life, like I would be hurt and not as effective.
Mm. Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it, and I feel like it opens the narrator and the players more up to doing kind of like what I did when I ran our game. Like you couldn't have done that in D&D.
Yeah, that's another thing. Strength of Cogent, I think, is that you could theoretically you can run anything with it, which is cool. I actually want to run a one shot where it's gonna be like little kids in like a horror story, and like you're it's like
What's your obsession with little kids?
I don't know. It's not little. It's like
It's
really
creepy.
little. Like you're like 6 or 7, and you're in a
I'm not
home
creeped
alone in a
out.
mansion, and there's like these ghosts killing you.
This isn't creepy at all, Jack.
This is why
Yeah.
Jack got his own house, so he could simulate this in real life.
Oh,
So he can lure little kids to his
Yes.
house.
Oh, free
Thanks,
candy!
guys.
Free
Free
candy. Oh, free candy. Nothing.
How did we? How did the conversation get to this?
I don't know.
We're kids in Cogent, and now he's telling us like we're going to like. Wouldn't it be cool if we
I
were
guess
all
the
little
reason
kids
why
again?
I guess the reason why is because you are shoehorned in D&D to playing adults.
Not really. You're
Yes, you
not.
are.
No, you're not.
By the rules as
One
written,
thing
you
I
are.
do.
What?
One thing I
I'm
do
never.
have to add-
What? I'm not always an adult. What?
Well, one thing I have to add
The
about
rules as
the
written, you're
Cogent
only talked
as
about
well.
races as over a certain age.
No, you're not. It's not rules as written.
I
Okay,
thought
we're
it
not
was.
rules lawyering.
It wasn't.
What campaign I've never played a campaign in where I've been a kid in D&D.
Because you've never asked. Have you asked to?
What kid did you play?
I'm literally in a campaign with a kid. He's like literally 10.
That's hilarious.
He's
Now
like
he's
a
talking about
10-year-old
playing
bard.
with kids.
Oh
Tell you,
god.
Mm.
you play with kids, Vince.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
Well, to you, Vince.
would-
Then. Oh, go
I
ahead,
would
Jake.
have to say though, one thing to add is also kind of like how Cogent as well. Like the D&Ds I've played is always like kind of pigeonholed into like an adventurers group, and like although we went on a wacky adventure, that wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a pigeonhole for a story sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To you, Vince. D&D better, Cogent better. What do you like? What don't you like?
It's
What do you think?
weird because I don't think Cogent or D&D is better. I think Cogent is really good for specifically quick like setup games. Like it's really easy to set up a character in Cogent. But I still like D&D. The problem is I think the reason I like your Cogent is just because you're the one like narrating, because I don't like, I've told you this problem I have with D&D where like everything becomes a combat fest and there's
Mhm.
no RP. And that's like something that didn't happen when I played D&D with you either. Like when I was playing Quilkek, like it wasn't a problem. But it was like only a problem like with other D&D campaigns. Like for me, I think they're equally decent. I just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as a narrator, I'm always more committed to the RP. And the reason being is I always think that the moments you remember, I think the ones I always remember are the story moments. And like, the funny thing is, you always say like, "Do you remember when I did this to you, or we did this? Remember when we like went to that temple and we made like hot cocoa like right outside the boss room before we ran in, and we went in and we forgot like the RP stuff is what I always remember. I mean, and that was my favorite thing about Cogent is that the combat really is just more RP. And I always felt like that was because I feel like there's this obligation in D&D. So much of D&D, so much of the books, so much of the rules is all around combat. And I always felt that like that you feel obligated to use that. And most people go into D&D knowing like, oh, I want to like play the combat. And I think they're both fun because I actually do enjoy D&D
think that's
combat.
wrong though. That's the problem. I think that like people go into it that way and they don't need to.
Well, another thing is, Vince, I would point out is that, you know, I think you're right. I think it is way easier to make a character
in Cogent. Yeah, it's definitely easier.
I think it's I think it's easier to make the character sheet. I don't think it's easier to make the character because the character takes backstory.
Well, the character's
and...
up to you. That's the thing. But in D&D, the character's up to rules. Like, there's a lot of rules you have to read. Like, you already have this thing where you're like, I thought it was a rule that you had to be an adult. It's not in D&D, but like, you can't know that because you have to sift through an entire book to know that.
Mhm.
Like, and a lot of misinformation goes around. But Kojin is just like, hey, just talk to your narrator, and like, if it works, it works.
Yeah, I think
So it's like really nice.
one from a narrator's perspective, the reason why, because I feel like my problem right now, because I used to run a D&D homebrew game. Well, it wasn't actually
Is it
homebrew.
the one I was in?
It wasn't homebrew though. We would use like
No, it was normal. I
we
don't
had-
think
but
it was
I-
homebrew.
Well, it was to an extent because I didn't run it
Campaign,
exactly.
I guess, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's the point.
Yeah, I didn't run it exactly like.
But that's the
it was-
point.
I know it's the point, but I did kind of feel like it was a crutch I had to lean on because I could not come up with all the combat scenarios. I didn't have like the stats were so complicated on each of the monsters. Like there's so much like in order to make a combat that wouldn't kill you guys, I had to use the pre-written things because I didn't know what
until I broke it.
Until you broke it. But you know what I mean? Like there's so much it's so hard to set up. I think I think you said it kind of before. You said it seems like it's easier to set up games in Cogent. And it is. It's because you actually just have to set up the story. You don't have to worry about any of the other things. Like you literally just use your intuition, like how strong would this guy be? It's like, oh, he'd be here, and you mark that. And that's all you have to do. That is one thing. But yeah, I think whatever.
But also, I don't know. It's kind of rewarding in D&D sometimes because you're playing within a rule set. So like, it's not like although it's like you can find something cool, and like it's not always up to the narrator to say if you can do it. Like I know, I get it. Like you allow for a rule of cool and stuff, but like that's not always the case. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's sometimes just cool to find things on your own.
I have a question that's going to leapfrog off of this one. Would you guys like it for combat to have more depth in Cogent? Would you guys like me to increase the depth of combat and like the difficulty / tools you have available?
No, I don't care.
Yes.
I honestly don't care for combat
because
in the slightest.
One thing is like there's a lot of things to consider with armor and range and all these things that I didn't use because it didn't feel appropriate to story, but also because I wasn't trying to beat you guys over the head with it. But like there's a lot of considerations into mid-maxing, into like because we use the hard. So just so you guys know, and the YouTube audience, we don't use standard Cogent rules. We use the hardcore rules on combat and armor, and
I hated getting like bashed for that because I never attacked, so it didn't really matter to me.
But I'm thinking of if you guys would like, I one of the things I wrote down for this next arc was to basically have more rewarding character equipment growth and character like skill growth, and like I wanted like things where, you know, like the part in the video game where you're getting loot and you're like, oh, I got this. It's like this is better than what I had before. Like this will make me better, and I want to. Do you guys like that? Do you guys enjoy that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah,
I kinda
absolutely.
like getting stuff. So
Okay, cool. Well then,
I'd say focus on like equipment that we can get, and maybe like focus on like abilities that equipment may have that will play well into roleplay.
Well, because one of the things
like
I'm gonna
normal
do
abilities.
next time is we're gonna have perks, and so I'm going to generate up this list of perks, and I'm gonna try to balance them the best I can. But basically, they will allow you to have like one of the things I actually thought about with Vince the other day when we were talking was like a perk that's like Idiot Savant or something, where like you intentionally nerf your stats. Like maybe you take a massive head trauma or something, and you.
Are you talking about my idea? Yeah.
Well, no, it was my idea, but.
No. My idea for my character.
Well, your idea for but the perk, remember the triple?
Yeah. But like that's specifically for my character.
Yeah, but.
Right?
Well, no, I think it might be a perk that, like, if you wanted to, like, And you wouldn't get these perks necessarily through leveling up. You would get it through like actually role playing. So like one of the perks would be like determination, and it would be like a character quality that like you can make things like you can push the dice a little bit harder because like your character in the narrative is like that's their attitude, that's what they do. And so one of the perks I was thinking about was like Idiot Savant, where like you turn into a Randy kind of, where you intentionally nerf all your stats, but every Destiny point you get triple them. So you basically like you can be really good at a couple, and I think the stipulation was you have to burn all of your Destiny points whenever you use them. So you can like decide to do one thing insanely well. I don't know, I'm working on it, but like there would be perks like that, like maybe a perk where it's like and they would honestly be perks a lot around like personality traits, like lucky, but it wouldn't be as powerful.
Oh,
But like lucky or I was talking this with you, Vince, like lucky or kind-hearted or like
yeah, because I was talking about a guy who's completely incompetent, but his only ability is that he's sometimes really lucky.
Well, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and like there were gonna be like the really top tier perks, and those were gonna be very like narratively driven. But I was thinking about that. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Like, buffs that you would get from like playing into your archetype and like having a couple defining traits. Like we could say with Uhtred, right? Uhtred is he's sharp. He can't read. I'm joking, Jake.
Yes.
But he's kind of this older brother.
For another 6 years.
Yeah, it's like or like Uhtred takes responsibility for the group now. He does. But like things like that, or like with Felix, like kind-hearted, and like I was thinking about that. So I might explore that, and also have some perks in there maybe that aren't like those character qualities.
Felix is a little bit more cynical now and more realistic after experiencing his dream.
I'll have to look, because there's I have weekend time now, so I can do that. So is everyone cool with that? Do people feel fun? Like, does that seem fun?
I would still be into that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Try it, yeah.
So then, next question. We're gonna do this one first. So to the two people here who their characters died, what do you guys want to do with your next characters? Like brainstorming. Like I already kind of know what you want to do, Zammy, and we can kind of talk about it here. Nothing has to be set in stone. But is there any ideas you guys have? I'd be curious to let the people at home know.
I think first and foremost it would be to stay alive.
Yeah, I'm really excited about making a new character because like
I am too. I feel bad that you got shoehorned into playing my character basically.
No, see that's what I was gonna bring up. Like I'm really looking forward to like being able to have a completely me character, but at the same time I did really like playing Kilroy.
Yeah.
But and like I did really like how it kind of did make it really easy on me, like knowing exactly what role my character played in the dreams.
Yeah,
but,
I was sad when you picked up that fucking ring. I did not anticipate you doing that. You didn't have to do that.
See I think the depression was the main motivation in that, is as kind of a like I said, I think it would be way cooler to die as the Witch Queen than to just like kill yourself because you're sad.
Well, but that's the thing, like,
because you're sad.
Like all that stuff. If you think that, and I'm not being harsh, but like in general, if in any of my games, if anybody ever thinks, if any of you think that what I tell you have to do versus what would be a better story doesn't always take precedent, then you haven't been paying attention. Like, it's okay to like, because honestly, if you would have been like, I'm going to conquer this, like I'm gonna work through these feelings and like through RP, of course, and it's easy to say that here, but like,
oh yeah, no, I like, if
did you know
had I, oh absolutely, like
okay,
had I
good.
wanted to, I see, but like the thing with that is that like he's put in that position where he has to seek that help whenever he like just got put back on in like the real world, which like he doesn't even really technically exist in. So like already he has no one really to go to, because like at this point,
Well, you have your
like
friends.
even though, yeah, like I was gonna say, even though he's got these friends, like he's still like internally he considers himself as such an outcast, just because
True.
like there's not really anything that he can relate to with these people.
Yeah, he literally is a figment of the imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm glad you liked him. I'm kind of excited to see what you're gonna do with a blank slate, though. I am excited to see that.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it at all.
Okay. Zammy, did you still want to do what we were talking about before?
I do need like a little bit more information on
Okay.
like especially how red just everything affected everything. And I don't know if I just need a little bit more on the second arc, but what I do have right now, which I believe I completely forgot. I don't have the sheet up right now, but I'll just tell y'all. It's this
Well, hold on, hold
bug.
on.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
hold on. We can go into a little bit. So that's a little bit. I don't remember about that. But more of kind of like what kind of like character qualities. You don't have to go too much into the like the where you're from and all that other stuff, because that'll come out in the story. Actually, you know what? Let's just put a pin in it. I'm glad you're thinking about it. But do you still like the bug?
Yeah, I
Okay,
do, and
good.
also I do want, because with Helena, I put myself in very easy shoes to roleplay with, and with my new character, I definitely want to I want to have challenging roleplay.
So murdering other people was easy for you.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
just gotta
I mean,
like
yeah.
Oh,
If you
go
know
boy.
ham.
Sammy.
I don't.
Now it's
So.
just murdering people with style.
Oh my
Well, I guess
god.
Helena did that already, so.
I mean, listen, we got to look at Zammy's character past. Okay, we had Kane. Who,
I
like,
don't know
he
these.
was
Remember, I
faceless.
just started
I
playing with
know.
all of you guys. You
Uh,
need to
then
explain
we
who
have
these characters are.
Kane was from D&D. He was a murdering psychopath.
Okay.
And then we have
Yeah,
Otto.
probably.
I murdered 52 people. At least they were deserving. No, it was orphans and widows.
What?
He had a
What
cult. He
now?
had a cult. It's a whole thing.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see what both of you come up with, and in the coming weeks we're going to really nail that down. As I should have a lot more time now. Now that my life is slowing down a bit. Then okay, so now to everybody else whose characters didn't die, and we'll start at the top. So that would be you, Cirrus. Where do you see your character going forward? Like, what do you
Oh
want to do
boy.
with your character? You think?
That's a good question, because Sirius pretty much has like multiple paths he can go. Because like during the campaign, sort of campaign thus far, his main purpose was sort of getting vengeance for Belford, because like he was sort of like his only friend at that age. And he got that really quickly, like more quickly than he would have expected. So there's, I guess, this sort of moral dilemma of like, well, what does he do now? How does he sort of keep up what he's doing, or if he even wants to keep it up, for that matter? So there's probably going to be a session of complete turmoil for him upcoming, I'd imagine.
Hmm.
Figuring that answer out for that.
Well, and for those of you who I've kind of settled on 2 years in the future as kind of the time period. Um, so, so it sounds like you haven't thought. So start thinking about it. Just mull it over in your head. Like, Jake, you've thought about it a lot. Maybe don't go into
Yes.
insane detail. Actually, I don't even think it's worth going into any detail because what do you think, Jake? Like, would you rather it come out
Uh,
naturally or?
it's gonna come out naturally in the story,
Okay.
but I will say that like it won't be what a lot of people expect from the character. based off of the past those who have been
Is
playing
it
with.
this?
You
Is
know,
it what I'm
Uhtred.
thinking? Because I think you've told me before.
Probably because me, you, and Jack all
Okay.
talked about it afterwards at
Okay.
one point.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm. Well, then here you can if it's the cat's out of the bag, you can kind of if you
No,
want
no.
to.
I think it's only to me though.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know.
Um,
It's up to Jake though.
I'm not Jack. I'm Jake.
Yeah,
That's
I said
Jack.
Jake.
This
I
is
said Jake. I said Jake. I said Jake. I
Actually,
said
I'm
Jake.
Jab. No, I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, I
You're
can let it go
great.
out. Actually, I would like it to go out, because people can start thinking about their responses. Because, like, I mean, it won't bother me too much. Because
Well, because
honestly,
actually, you guys would know
the-
going into the game, right? Because you guys have
yeah. So
lived, so you
they
would
would
know.
because they were alive. So what's funny is that Vince actually guessed it though. Is so like, Uhtred's thinking of this is like, he's going to go into the guard because he takes like responsibility for what happened. So like he wants to make sure that can't happen again, and kind of like Commander Royce was like the latest of like a paternal figure in his life that is now paralyzed forever because of Helena. So he wants to kind of like go into that side instead of like embracing, because he's trying to make like a turnaround of his life after what kind of like Vex said, because like I had said like in the beginning, like, you don't know what it means to survive on the streets, and she's like, everyone has their choices, and like that kind of stuck. So he's
Well, it
kind
was
of
more like
choosing to
I think
try to
she
like
said
not live
like
that life.
I think she said something like, "Don't assume just because I'm nobility that my life is easy."
Yeah, but the recurring theme of the story is like, you do bad things happen, and like another turning point for Uhtred was like when he stole from Kilroy. Like he's never seen the effects of like his thefts before, so like this time it actually hit home and like hurt someone he cared about. So it's kind of like his whole thought process.
Hmm. I have a quick question. Are any of the characters gonna hold it against Uhtred that he killed Helena? Like, I mean specifically to like I guess Felix and Sirius.
I think Felix might a little bit, but in the way where like Felix has these ideals, right, where he's going to help you regardless of what happens.
Is
So
that
like he
still his
might.
thing? Is that still your character? Is that what you? Because I thought
He's
you
cynical.
changed.
He's cynical. Yeah, he's cynical, and he's like more able to like. It's weird because it's like I think I still want him to like help. Like he's not going to be as naive before. He's going to be like, "Hi, Uhtred," and like not really reminisce on things and be kind of like like he won't be as like kind or friendly, but I think he'll still like help you if you need it.
Hmm. So,
If that makes
but
sense.
it did upset Felix that he killed Helena.
Yes,
Hmm.
it did.
How come?
Because he like his entire thing was people deserve second chances, and now there's like this situation where it's like, did she deserve a second chance, did she not? I will never know, and it wasn't even like I had no say in the matter. I don't know if like anyone else did.
The only one that had say in it.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills. To you, Sirius, because you were actually kind of connected to Helena.
This is tough. Um, let's see. I guess not too much, I'd say, because it's like Sirius, I guess, would have kind of seen some of this coming, like especially with like through the dreams and like sort of the things that Helena did, and it's like a question of like, did she really like absolve her sin or whatever through these dreams, really?
Yeah,
Sort
it's
of,
like
I guess,
So-
she
this
did all. She
conflict
still
for
did
him.
do all the evil things.
So I do want to point
And
something
even
out.
like hurt Uthred's mother, like in the dream, like
Yeah, she did
kind
kill
of
my mom
unavoidable.
too.
So I mean, I think Sirius would be kind of understanding, and he already had like a positive relationship with Uthred, sort of with the boat drifting and all that. So I think like it'll be kind of like a dark moment of the past that he wouldn't really want to bring up, but like that's probably the extent
So,
of it.
out of curiosity, has anyone here actually watched the video of the epilogue?
I did. Oh, I mean, I was part of the epilogue, wasn't I?
Mhm.
Yeah, but not for all of it.
Oh, you're right. No, then I have not.
Okay, so like when that whole thing happened, Like I was in the room, like, because I saw Commander Royce, and like Luck comes in and
Oh
is like
yeah, I know
questioning
that.
me,
Yeah, I know about
and
that.
like he basically, well, you know about that, but like, do you know all what happened in there? Because like I
Yeah.
really
You told
saved
me
our
after the session.
skins. Oh yeah,
You
because like I saved
you
our
told me after.
skins. Well, I know, but has anyone else watched it?
Because some stuff. Because we went
I
into a
haven't.
separate room. Yeah.
Yeah. So what had happened basically was like Locke's questioning me, and then like at one point he like is choking me up against the wall and like
Oh
demanding
yeah.
that I like give Helena to him. Because then he's like, "Are you guys all connected? Are you hiding her? Did you help her kill all these people?" And he was going to kill all of us if like I didn't like keep that option
Mhm.
open of
Mhm.
like, no, I'd lured her back so that way she could face justice, kind of thing. Because in the back of my mind, through all the dreams, like Uhtred did shift his attitude towards Helena, but like it was always kind of in the back of his mind that eventually he might have to kill her or turn her in to save all of us.
Hmm. Yeah, it was. I would encourage because there was more complexity to that. I think it'd be funny if you go watch that, Zambi, because there was more complexity rather than it wasn't just like Uhtred betrays. There was a lot
Yeah.
of pressure on because, well, I won't. I'd rather you guys go watch it, but there was a tremendous amount of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But great questions, all answers all around. So then to you, I think Wesley, you're the last one. Where do you see
Mhm.
your character going forward?
I mean, I'd like to, he was very committed to his dream, of becoming a doctor, and I'd like to see him fulfill that dream. I think obviously, like I said, he'll be a little more cynical, but I think the base like goal will not change. Like his personality, everything about him, like how he talks to people, how he interacts might change, but I think that like very base part like of wanting to help people, wanting to like I'd be there for people, lift people up, like still be that supporting guy. Will still stay there,
Mm,
just like maybe buried somewhere under cynicism.
mm. Okay, and so a couple last questions. Kind of broad question to the room. How did you guys like the dreams in general? Like, was it a good idea? Was it a bad idea? What do you guys think?
I think it was the best idea.
I think
I
so.
think it was good too.
I
I
Yeah.
think
liked it.
I think there was something powerful about seeing your guy. It forced you guys to expose your backstories, and I like that.
It
It also forced us to face our trauma from the past.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay. Anybody got anything to
Well,
add to that?
for me, the dreams were the entire campaign except for the last session. So
I'm in the real world. Instant die.
I'm in the
I,
real world.
I
Ooh,
got
shiny ring.
Witch by death by witch queen.
spawn killed.
Spawn killed.
Wow, that's some serious damage.
But it.
Kill-tastic.
Man. Okay. So, with all that said, then, uh, I wanted to go over the first couple sessions, but we might turn that into another video and do that another time. I was just curious, like, is there anything else anybody want to talk about? Anything anybody wanted to comment? Actually, no. Here's a really great question. Uh, what what did you not like about the campaign? What did you not like? Was there something like seriously? Like, I would like to know if there was something you really did not enjoy going forward, so that because there are some things that happen in the game, and it's like narratively, like it just happens, and like I'm not happy that Helena had to die, but it like that was the story. That's what happened. That's the only thing that made sense if she didn't leave. But I'm curious, like, is there anything people really didn't like or enjoy, or they'd like me to work better at, or do something differently? I'm curious.
I think what we need to figure out is like in combat, because like theoretically, the highest roll can anticipate what everyone's going to do, right?
Yes.
We need to figure out a way for the people who roll higher to influence people who roll lower. Because like if I'm trying to like, because I know we had a couple instances where like someone was trying to like warn someone of something. I think it was in Sirius's dream with the spore, but it got all confusing because like we tried to tell them, but we didn't tell them until their turn or something. It was after declaration. I think just kind of coming up with a system where like we can kind of do that
Mhm.
would make combat run a little more smoother and feel more like RP.
So
And that's
you
not on
think?
you. That's just on the system itself,
So do
though.
you guys? Because it sounds
Maybe
like. Oh, go ahead.
I have one idea maybe for that. Maybe
Yeah.
we could implement like some sort of like call out system where it's like if you basically have every round like one free call out where it's like you can say something during somebody else's initiative turn to sort of influence what they do maybe. Well, actually I guess that wouldn't make sense because you'd still know that person's information
Yeah, I mean,
at that point.
because actually,
It
like,
needs some more thought.
so
But
actually, like, the rules actually do work perfectly. I just didn't run them right. Like, the way it's supposed to work, right, is that, you know, the person who's the slowest declares first, and then the person who, because like the whole reason the person who's slowest declares first is so the person who's the fastest can anticipate what they're doing and listen and make their judgments off that. So theoretically, like it actually works perfectly. I just didn't run it perfectly. I've never run Cogent before, but it sounds like from a couple different people that like the worst part was sometimes the combat would get fucky because of the turn order. Is that what I'm hearing?
And I don't blame you for that. It's just like it would make sense that if I can anticipate what everyone's going to do, like I should be able to do a call out to like someone before they make their declaration and it's final, if that makes sense.
So I see what you mean. So because, so I see what you mean. So
it
like,
wouldn't.
but because that would actually theoretically that would take place on their next turn because I see what you mean, Jake. Like you would like to, if there's someone going like your friend Helena going lower than you, right, and you're up here. Weird example, but it's funny. You would want on her turn to be able to tell her something.
Yes, if that makes sense. Because like I can like say I have reflex, but I also roll a 20 against everyone else with reflex. I can see what all the other bad guys are gonna do before they do it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard, and we can like
No,
play around with
I
it.
do see
But
what you mean because theoretically Helena's already had to make her action in that moment, but that might just be another advantage to rolling faster because like you technically can see what she's doing before you see what she's doing.
yeah,
You could say something. So maybe we'll have to implement that as a rule. Like if you're higher in turn order, maybe you do have one. I mean, I'm trying to think of like why that wouldn't make sense or wouldn't work, but that seems kind of fair. I think the only problem is like it might get like fucky if like you're on their turn you declare what you want and then in between your turn order and your turn order up here another enemy goes and they do something that changes what that initial thing you said was and then on your turn like oh I want to change that.
no, yeah, and I don't think it should be something like that because that would just get really confusing, and that's kind of like gaming the system. But like just like I think I like kind of like Ivan's idea, like one call out, if that makes sense.
Would you be able to reverse the call out on your turn when you get there if you want
No,
to
I
change
don't
it?
think you should be able to.
I actually think you should be able to change the call out no matter where. We'll have to
Okay.
think about it, but that is a
Yeah.
great thing, and I will write that
I
down.
mean, you'd have to kind of balance it carefully because there's a reason why there's sort of an initiative ordering,
Yeah,
right? Because
there is absolutely.
you're if an enemy's like gonna charge and swing at you, and you're like narratively like I guess sort of like off balance or whatever because like you're not as reactive. Somebody might not necessarily tell you to like brace for this knife that's coming at you.
Yeah.
If you didn't
And like
anticipate it.
even if you say it, they might not have that because like
They might not be able to move their arm fast enough to
exactly.
sort of brace or
Like
whatever.
that's so maybe we'll have to think about it. It kind of sounds like that is just like narratively that person literally is not as quick. And that would be why like they don't you could say whatever you want, but they can't react quick enough to what you're saying. They could react if it was happening like over a longer period of time, so like a couple turns if you had to anticipate it then. But we'll have to work that out. But I think actually that's just kind of the nature of the system, and that actually like Ivan said, I think it actually does account for itself. Um, I think that narratively, like you have a reflex point, Jake, and I know why you would bring this up because you do have the reflex point and you can see things coming. But I think that is kind of gaming the system as the
It
other.
is, which is why like I wasn't too worried about
I
it.
know.
It wasn't more to like warn about enemies coming. It was more for like when we were in like Sirius's dream. It was like trying to get everyone back before the spore, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
It was more for like things around, and it wasn't for
I
like
know, but
dodging an
that
enemy
would
weapon.
still apply.
Yeah.
So I think we'll leave it right now. If it keeps coming up as an issue, we have to change it. But I think we could all agree if the turn orders were run more smoothly, that would be better, right?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Would anybody else like to say anything to any other character at all?
Helena, I'm sorry.
I've been crying about it ever since.
I want you to know that a lot of what I said was show for luck, and it wasn't like actually how I felt, which is why like once we were out of their view, it like kind of shifted.
That's what they all say. That's what all men who kill 15-year-old
That's what
girls
all
say.
men say.
Okay. What do
Okay,
all people that
Sammy.
commit mass murder say? That
They
they've
all say we
changed.
are Amon, just in a different
But they
way.
all say that I've changed. Let me out of prison.
Well, yeah. I guess my last question would be, how did you guys enjoy the world?
It was great.
It's awesome.
Is it actually like interesting? Like, what are you?
Yes.
Actually, that's a great question. So we'll start at the top. Anakin, what in the world, like from what you've heard about, like the lore, what would you be more curious to learn more about? Like the demons, the like Angeland, the Inquisition, the royal family,
I
um,
think I
magic.
think I think magic and especially like the blood healing and just blood technology
Mm.
of the city. I definitely want to learn a lot more about
There
that
was
because it
more. There was a side quest for that. You guys never. Well, you weren't even in the game yet, but they never went to do that.
yeah, but like really like in this campaign hearing so much about the city, but I never even got to experience it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that the city was you guys only played in it. Most of it was played in the dreams, right? But the city had such a big impact on. Okay. Well then, so blood. You said the blood technology in the city, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, that's basically just make a character and play because it's there already. Cool, awesome, good to know. So then on to you, Helena. What are you curious about? Like, what would you like to learn more about in the world?
This could also be solved by roleplay as well, but and it was with Helena's relationship with the royal family. And I would just like to learn more about how how it actually works. Like what is her name? Lady Redguard? Like what uh I would just like to learn more about each and every person in the royal family
Do you
and
mean
then
about like the
how that
politics and stuff?
yeah, I would like to learn more about the
Because
politics
there was the
of the
politics, and there's like, I never. Good, awesome, good. Is there anything else?
that's I think that is and also magic.
Magic, yeah. Don't worry, guys. The magic. I have a whole flowchart now of magic. Then the question moves on to your boy Cirrus.
All right. I guess there's the obvious answer of like the whole siren sort of I guess political sphere
Mm-hmm.
with like the ring and all that and how that was before and how it'll evolve in the future sort of. And then also sort of like the foreshadowing of like this force of like demons that does like the shard stuff and like Wesley's dream. Like
Mm-hmm.
figuring out more about that is would be interesting to know. And like we've had sort of like tidbits and teasers of like the big like harvesters or whatever, like how powerful those are, and just like figuring out more there going
Cool.
on,
Good.
why it's going on.
Very, very good. Uhtred, what are you curious
I want to
about?
go see Crossroads. It's like the
Good.
capital of the entire world, and like that's where my character's from. So I think it'd be kind of interesting to do like a returning to home thing.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. Okay. And then Wesley.
I think I'd like to learn more about magic first and foremost,
Okay.
because I'm gonna need it if I want to even get close to doing well, and as a doctor. And then exploring other areas outside of Redguard would be really nice.
So like the surrounding countryside. So like this,
Mhm.
like now do you mean specifically in Redguard? Like, I don't know if you have the map pulled up, but the
Maybe
spine.
just going anywhere,
Okay,
honestly.
cool. Very good. Okay, guys. Well, does anybody else anything else they'd like to talk about? Wait, right? Actually, that's a really good question. Would you
What?
guys ask me some questions?
When's next
What
session?
was?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So
I
the
mean,
next session will. That's a great question, Vince. So I'm anticipating, because I want a little bit of time, because I literally like this weekend I finally got things kind of semi settled down. I would anticipate not next weekend, not the weekend after that. At earliest, it would not be. So definitely not next weekend. At the earliest, it would be the weekend after that. But most likely, it'll be 3 weeks from now, because I need to make all of your guys' characters. I have a full-time job. There's a lot of things. A lot of things to do. But it depends how motivated I get. I feel like this has kind of re-sparked my interest, because I had to kind of put this on the wayside, and so this has kind of revitalized my kind of my narrator itch. So who knows? Maybe something special happened. If you guys want the session to happen sooner, then respond to when I DM you and when I ask you to make your characters.
No, take your time.
done. My character's made. I didn't die.
Same
Any other
here,
questions?
But
Who's-
also, if you want a new character, I have one.
I honestly, so like, did our characters like grow the way you thought they would when they were first introduced, or was it like twists and turns?
I guess I'll have to answer that on a character by character. So Randy, I anticipated everything. Nox, I anticipated a little bit more character. Actually, not really. I think Nox is kind of who he is. Like, I understand that. And then as for Kilroy the Fool, didn't see that coming. I thought he was gonna get out of the dream and end up like dealing with this curse he has, and dealing with it in the real world. And I thought it was going to be really interesting to see him like experience the real world and experience what pain is, and what how there's meaninglessness. Because like in the dreams, everything has a meaning, right? There isn't just it's a part of a narrative story that's trying to prove a point. He's like, so what's the point of this? It's like there's no point at all. It's just life. Some things don't have meaning. And I was really, so I really did not anticipate actually Killer the Fool dying. That kind of came out of left field. Didn't see that coming. Then to Helena, I kind of thought it went exactly where it was gonna go. Because, and I guess I only say that, oh actually no, at first I didn't. But then after Helena killed Levi Targaryen and I decided where the plot was going, at that point I did kind of know where it was going. I anticipated Zammy getting cold feet, because I knew I was gonna make his dream, and I knew I was gonna make it about his parents, and like I was really gonna I wanted to show how pure his family or Helena's family life was before, and I knew that would wreck you. I knew it. That because it was like it even broke my heart, like watching like Papa being like like his jugulars ripped out by. It was just, yeah, I saw that coming. I anticipated that, because I think one of my favorite things is to make players realize, like, I feel like in a lot of games you do bad things and you don't ever get to see the consequences, and they don't ever feel real, and it doesn't matter because you're not that invested. But I feel like when you're invested in the story and you do something bad, sometimes it's hard to watch the consequences of your actions. And I think that's powerful because that's more realistic. Like, there's a reason maybe why you don't want to do evil things all the time, because it might end up hurting the people you love, and it might disappoint people. So that, and then for Sirius, man, I think Sirius has grown in a lot of. I think it's both yet true and false. I think Sirius grew in ways and connected with people that I didn't think he would. I think he was going to be a lot more reserved than he actually ended up being, because he definitely did connect with people. I think he both grew a lot and did exactly what I thought he was going to do. And I think those two things are actually going to end up coming into conflict eventually, because the problem is he has friends now, and he cares
I
about
feel
them.
like Wesley doesn't do anything. He's just the same.
Well, I'll get
Hey,
to
you
you.
saved me.
I'll get to
You
you. So
saved me.
That's true.
As for Uhtred, yeah, I did not like. So Jake came to me with the idea of Uhtred, and at first, oh no, he wasn't Uhtred at first. At first,
It
Jake
was
wanted to be a pimp.
I was gonna be
He's gonna be a
basically Pimp
child
Slick Back
pimp.
Oh
Part
my
2.
god.
Yeah, and I was like, please, Jake, don't do that. And Jake was like,
Hey,
okay.
Ivan would have appreciated Pimp Slick Back Redwall.
Oh
version,
yeah,
Okay.
big time.
But yeah, I guess it's like that same thing again. Like, I'm really like I'm big in my stories that when you do bad things, it's not always that I want you to pay for what you did. Even I don't think that's like my right as the narrator. I think then, like, if you get away with it, you get away with it. But the
I did
consequences you can.
swindle the guard multiple times.
Yeah, but the consequences of like watching it, what the aftermath is, like, if you murder your next door neighbor and you get away with it, you'd have to watch the fallout of their family grieving for them. Like, I think that's important.
What a psychopath would want.
Yeah, true, right? So I think for Uhtred, I did not see Uhtred had a lot of character growth in ways that I did not anticipate. I actually think out of all the characters, I think Uhtred grew the most. Because he started out as this, deviant from the law, who didn't like authority figures, hated Vex.
Yes, a lot so.
And by the end of it, he loved his authority figure, which was Commander Royce. He wants to join the Guard, and he never wants to steal again, really. And I didn't see that coming. So I would say, of the character growth, I would give that to Uhtred for sure. And then as for Wesley, Wesley was an interesting case because
I set out to do what I wanted to do, which was be a background character.
you said it. Well, I guess what changed, and it was, I don't know how I feel about this, but it's what happened, because I made like a lot more. All the other backstories were done before the game.
Mm-hmm.
I made Vince work on his backstory when it was like when I was making the dreams and when I needed to have it. And so
Because I didn't realize I would need one.
it was almost like we made this backstory where there wasn't one before, and I was so happy about that, because when we made it, then I could see instantly you were so much more interested, and that made me really happy. So I would say Felix did exactly what he anticipated to doing, but that's kind of his whole character, is like, this is his single pursuit, is to be a doctor and like try to like cure shards and like help people. So I would say for him, then yes, I think that I anticipated what happened with him. Yeah. Any other questions?
Whose dream was your favorite?
That's hard. Who was my favorite dream?
Helena?
Who was my favorite dream?
Who is your favorite character out of all of us? Is
I
basically
think
the question.
no, it's not. I would say I think the two best for me was actually probably Felix and Sirius.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Felix was by far my favorite dream.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
I think it's because and I think Uhtred's would have been higher up if I hadn't, because Uhtred's was the first. And I do feel like that dream suffered a bit because I didn't know how to run the dreams yet. But I would say Felix and Sirius's. I think Felix is because I think it was really tight narratively, and I really liked I liked how it fit with all. It explained a lot of his personality. I liked how I got to show you guys tidbits of like the bigger picture of the story. And and I love the demons. The demons are
Oh yeah,
they're great.
that I
They're
was actually I was gonna bring that up, like kind of thinking about the what we'd like to know more about question. I would love to know more about those demons because that was one of my favorite parts of that dream.
yeah,
Like seeing when they transformed back into their human forms.
yeah, I love that because it introduces this air of like just danger walking down the street because that means that they're walking around. Or do you
Yeah.
know? I love that. And I like the demons are one of the earliest things I came up with, and there's a lot more to learn about them. But and they're all tied to Amon and a bunch of other shit. But I really liked exploring the demons. I loved using the harvesters and getting to just to demolish this, like just hurt people with these fucking behemoths. It felt awesome. It was so cool. I loved that. And then as for Sirius's, I think I would really go to that moment in the sewers with Sirius, and then we had the music perfect, and it just hit. It was so like the emotion was there. The emotion was there, and it hurt. And
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, that moment is gonna grow with age, which is crazy, but you guys will see what I mean. But that was a great moment. So I'd say the two dreams. So I'm trying to think. And also actually Anakin's dream is really fun because I got to play with the Witch Queen. I had to nerf her a bit. That was one thing, and I didn't anticipate Helena one-shotting her. But yeah, like that was fun too because I got to run a really big combat, and I got to play around with the Witch Queen, who I love. I think she's a great character. Um, but I think, I think the best is probably Felix's. Um,
Hey, I didn't know that.
overall, I think because the best moment was probably in Sirius's dream, but overall, I thought Sirius's dream was really tight. Or I mean, Felix's dream was really tight. I think.
Yeah, the music was a big thing with Felix's dream. Like
Yeah,
I thought that Gwen's theme, which was
with the
playing for
rain.
most of it, it fit literally perfectly.
Here, I'll swap over to it because we've been listening to this one the entire time. I'll swap over to Gwyn theme. But does anybody else have any questions for me? I actually really like the questions.
Do you
I oh, you can go first.
No, I just asked one.
No, you can go.
Okay. Do you have any like thoughts or any details that you can share about what plans you have with the campaign, like where you want to take it?
That's a really good question. Um, you know, so just so you guys so a lot of, actually I'll reveal this. So this like story in this world, I actually came up with this when I was like, I think I was probably about 13 or 14.
Hey, I hate to interrupt, but I have to get off. I have to go get ready for my
You're
business
okay.
trip tomorrow.
You're okay, dude.
See you,
Right.
boys.
So, yeah.
See ya.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it would be yeah, I came up with this when I was like 13, 14. I didn't have anything really to do, and I kind of came up with it then, so it's been mulling over in my head. I guess what my next steps are for the world and for the story would be kind of expanding out of Redwall and showing you guys the rest of the world and giving the world context and meaning. And then probably I would like to involve more of actually not this music just isn't right. It's too sad.
Yeah. See, that's why it fit Felix's dream
It did.
perfectly.
But we'll go back to the but I think what I would like to do is expand the world out. I would like to really gamify like the combat a bit more in terms of I want equipment to seem fun. I want like cool upgrades and things to work for and like I like that cuz I know I like that in games. And I want meaningful items that you guys have and meaningful abilities you guys learn. And then I really want to start involving more of the brights. I think that, and because I mean, I was surprised more of them got in there than I thought. But like, for instance, like we talked about, the Bright Lord, Amon, and we even got the Leviathan in a little bit. But I would like to bring more of the deities and kind of show you how they impact the world. I think would be my response to that. And just honestly, one thing I really liked what I did with this session or this arc was that I really kind of I let you guys control it a lot more than you realize. And actually, specifically, like Helena's decisions impacted the arc a lot. That's why I think it felt more tailored. Hopefully, is because it really was tailored around your characters, and I'd like to continue that into the future. So, good question. Any other questions? I think Zammy had a question.
I did. I left instead of unmuting.
Oh.
So, if the plot didn't go into the dreams, would the arc go from like mission to mission like it was doing before all the chaos happened, or would you have had kind of this also climactic plan with Kilroy the Fool or something kind of big like that?
So, and you can take pride in this, Sammy. Like all of that other stuff, like I basically turned one of these side quests into the main quest. Because the ring did have like the side quest built around it, but I ended up flushing that out a ton because I wanted to do what you wanted to do. You had told me you were interested in this idea of Helena eventually possibly having a master and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, he already did it. Let's lean into this. This is cool. It's actually cool. He was right. Let's do it. And so, I guess if you had never murdered Levi Thagarian, I really couldn't tell you where it would have gone. I mean, the whole purpose of this first arc was just to kind of get you guys exposed to the world and to each other's characters.
And it helps a lot because I don't have a lot of backstory and I might need to talk to you about it. Or like, I don't have many aspirations, but continue.
Well, yeah, like we gotta work on that. But yeah, I really do think that like, regardless of what would have happened, it would have followed you guys, and I think that this would end up of hopefully some cool climactic moment. Like that's what you want in an arc, right? You want it to have like this ebb and flow, and so it probably would have been something else. And there were other things planned. Like I'd had this whole series. Actually, now that I think about it, there actually was an original main plot that got pushed to the back. There actually was. And it involved the old growth woods to the east of Redwall. And I never got to explore that because we went down here. But yes, there was a completely different plot. Actually, no, because I actually have it written out in my OneNote, because I actually made like the I didn't call it the Beast of Redwall before, but yeah, there actually was another plot. I think this plot was better though. But there was something else. It was going to be kind of more like a bunch of side quests that kind of all tie into this main quest, and then the main quest would have been the main quest. So, good question. Any other questions? Questions or things you'd like to tell me, or just things you think the people would be interested to know? Nope.
I don't have anything.
If we got nothing else, then if everyone's cool, we can be done.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Sure, I guess.
you guys want to keep going? I was gonna ask you then, if you guys do, you guys want to keep going?
I don't know what
We
else
can
to
do
talk
whatever.
about though. I guess I could talk about like I don't know what I actually want to do with Felix though. So
You really
know.
don't?
Not really. No.
Would you
Like
rather do
I
that
mean,
privately?
yeah.
Okay, well then we won't do it here. Because I mean, we can hang. I'll hang in the Discord, but for the people on YouTube, we're gonna wrap this up here. This has been a little bit long. Anticipate another video in the coming weeks that is going to be a recap of the first session 0 and session 1, and on those sessions where we didn't have good volume. But besides that, thanks for watching, everybody. If you stayed this long, please like and subscribe, and have a nice day. Peace.
Subscribe.